Hello and welcome to Health Live at Seniors Today. It's that time of the year when we are getting close to the end of the year, and we normally invite a dietitian on our last few events sessions of the year, just because you were talking about it's also celebration time, so people like to binge and eat all sorts of things. But today our session is slightly different. While we have a dietitian in the house, the objective of inviting somebody as senior dietitian as Ms. Bhakti Samant, who is chief dietitian at the Kokilaben Ambani Hospital in Mumbai, is to ask her to speak about food safety uh, for for adults, for senior citizens. Before I invite her to speak, let me introduce her. She is, as I mentioned, chief dietitian at the Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital in Mumbai, in Andheri, in Mumbai. And she is an MSc in dietetics and a registered dietitian. European ESPEN Diploma in Clinical Nutrition and Metabolism is what she has done. She has over 15 years of experience, and she has been, her areas of interest include diet counseling for various metabolic, physiological, and medical conditions, lifestyle management for metabolic syndrome, nutrition for metabolic diseases like diabetes, gestational diabetes, cardiac, liver ailments, renal disease, cancer, gastrointestinal, neurological ailments, and critical care, and nutrition pre and post bariatric surgery, ketogenic diet and treatment of epilepsy and weight loss. Her profile is very long, but I'm going to limit it to this. But she has had various fellowships and certificate courses to her credit. She's been winner of the IAPEN, which is a coveted IAPEN Quality Award for Excellence in Therapeutic Food Service Management at the district level in 2022. And other than the Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, she has worked with the Asian Heart Institute, uh, earlier with the SL Raheja Hospital, KEM, and the Bhai Jairbai Wadia Children's Hospital. And she is a life member of the Indian Dietetic Association, a life member of the Association of Diabetes Educators, and a life member of the IAPEN India Association for prenatal and enteral nutrition care. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bhakti Samant. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction and inviting me on this platform.
Yeah, just before our session was there, I was telling Ms. Samant about one small gadget that I have at my desk and which I keep at every place, and this is a magnifying glass. And the reason why I keep a magnifying glass is to see the various ingredients that are there in a food item. And once upon a time, one wouldn't do it. But over the period of time, there has been an awareness, there has been an awakening that it's important to see what it is. What does your bottle of ketchup have? What do those wafers have? And what do the various things that we have on an everyday basis? We like to snack on, we like to binge on. We may be watching something on a streaming service, or you may be watching a cricket match, and whatever else. So the reason why we've invited Ms. Bhakti Samant, and it's an important question, an important topic to deal with. We have over 100 people who are attendees attending here, and it would be interesting to know what should people do. And at the end of the day, I think what's important is to get some practical advice from her, because it's impossible today. I'm at my desk, so I have a magnifying glass. Not everybody can move around with a magnifying glass and look at what is there, and a lot of it is in fine print. There are a lot of ingredients which are not even mentioned in full. There's some code which is mentioned. So all of that and more is what we are going to get from you. And do listen to her. And as always, this video will be edited and will be put up on the Seniors Today website. So don't worry about not noting down her presentation. It will be there on our website on Monday evening, so you can take a look at that. And after her session is over, please feel free to ask her questions. She has a short 10 to 15-minute presentation, and after that, we'll take the questions. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, a very interesting topic. What was it? Whatever topic that is given to me. Just give me a moment. I'll just share my slides. So the topic given is food safety for older adults. So when we talk of food safety, it's not that it's only for older adults. I think it's a very important thing to look for anybody. But today we are going to specifically focus on this particular age group. Yeah. So if you look at the data, the CDC data that you will look at, you will find that almost 48 million persons, that is every one individual in 6 people are getting foodborne infections every year, which is a big number. And a lot of these patients, because of the foodborne illnesses, we're also seeing the death rate is very high, the mortality is very high. And that's exactly why the reason we need to talk about it. People who have weakened immune system are at a higher risk of food poisoning, yes, and out of which, when we look at adults over the age of 65 years, are senior citizens, they are more likely to get hospitalized or get foodborne illnesses. There are particular metabolic changes which is happening in the body with the age. Okay, so it's not something that you're doing it on purpose, but yes, it's a natural phenomenon of eating that, I mean, aging, that your body is going to go through a certain changes. And in elderly population above the age of 65, there are a lot of changes happening in different systems in the body. So I think once we understand that, I think rest of the things will fall into place. So when we look at their GI system, obviously the GI tract holds on to food for a longer period of time. That is, with age, there is a decreasing in the gastric emptying time, also which allows allowing the bacteria to grow. The body's immune response to disease goes weaker. The liver and the kidney may not properly metabolize the foreign bacteria or toxins in the body. The stomach may also produce may not produce enough acid, which is why we have the GI disturbances. So if your gut is not healthy, if your gut is what is becoming metabolically slow, automatically the metabolism of nutrients or your immune system also is getting affected. And the underlying chronic conditions, if over and above this there is any existing underlying condition, it can be diabetes, hypertension, cancer, itself increases your risk for foodborne illness, which is irrespective of the age. So, how do we reduce this risk? We know that there is a certain category of individuals who are at a higher risk. So, what do we do about it? Few basic tips, few basic things that you need to consider when it comes to your basic hygiene while cooking food. So, simply clean, wash your hands, utensils, surfaces. Very, very important that you keep your surfaces very clean, your utensils cleaned and clean and dried properly before you are using. So I think these things are very important. To avoid any cross contamination, that is, for example, if you're going to have meats or poultry or seafood or eggs, should not be kept together with foods which are perishables, like say a vegetable, or food which can get spoiled like breads, because then there can be cross contamination. So you store the cold food in the colder areas, hot food in the hot kitchen. And within the different types of foods also, the different areas, like in the refrigerator also, there are different areas, and each areas have a different type of ingredient to be stored. So that thing needs to be kept in mind. Also, the food to be cooked and also eaten at the right temperature. So I think this is one thing a lot spoken about. How many times do you reheat your food? Whether it is safe to reheat the food, or to use microwave for reheating your food. So basically there's something called as a food safety zone, a food safety temperature, that is, the cooked food should be consumed within 2 hours, and in case if you are not consuming it within those 2 hours, you're supposed to refrigerate it. When we say refrigerate, keep it in a refrigerator temperature below 4 degrees or below 6 degrees, so that it remains fresh. At least the growth or the bacterial growth is minimal. When it comes to reheating, so the basic idea is that yes, you can store your food in the refrigerator or even put it in the freezer, but you only defrost or reheat the amount that you're going to consume. So there is every time you're going to reheat the food, there is a loss of micronutrients from your body, from your food. So it's important. So for suppose, yes, you might have made something in bulk, which is stored and which might last you for 3 to 4 days. No problem. You can make that. Keep it in the fridge. Whenever you're going to consume it, you only remove the portion of the food that you're going to consume at a time. Only reheat that much amount of food and then try and finish it. And if it's not over, then you can discard that. Don't again and again change the temperature in which you are keeping your food. Okay, so that these things are very, very important to whereas food safety is considered, your nutrient content of the food is considered. And very, very important, reading food label. Like he just mentioned about, having the magnifying glass to read about the food labels. So when we talk of food labels, there are two aspects to food labels. One is the nutrient content. That is how much of macro or micronutrient content a particular food item has, which is simply a demarcation of calories, carbohydrate, proteins, fats, and multivitamins. And the second aspect of the food label is when we are talking about the ingredients. I think both the things are very important. And sometimes it is also the marketing gimmick which happens. So I think what we are going to talk today about, or I'm going to highlight a little more on food labels and what exactly you are reading in terms of food label. So this is just an example of one food label wherein you will see it's mentioned as nutrition facts. Majority of the brands will be having this kind of demarcation on the products, where they're going to mention about the total packet. So it can be a 227 grams of a packet, or it can be a 500 grams of a packet. They will mention servings. What do you mean by servings? That if it is a 400 grams packet and they mention 4 servings, that means each serving is 100 grams. Here it is mentioned 4 servings per container, where each serving is 1 cup, which is 227 grams. So this is what you mean by a serving information. Calories. Now you will see there are some brands who will mention on the label the nutrient content based on serving, versus some who will mention per 100 grams. So both are correct. It's just that you need to then recalculate the serving. So this is talking about calories per serving. That means 280 calories in every 227 grams of the product. This is what you mean by the calories or the amounts per serving. Then you look down further, the ones which are highlighted in yellow. These are the nutrient content of the label, where you will look at the top part, which is the bold part, is where they have written about the macronutrients. The fat content, the carbohydrate content, the protein content, and then below, if you see, is the micronutrient or the mineral content. And then comes the percent daily value. So understand the percent daily value is always going to be mentioned. So if you look down, they're very clearly mentioned that the percent daily values are based on a 2000 calorie diet or a 2000 calorie requirement per day. Uska kitna percent is what is mentioned as a percent daily value. When we talk of fat, there are different types of fat. So someone will claim that we are cholesterol free or we are trans fat free. So most of the time, the tagline will be cholesterol free. Even when you take an example of oil, they mention we are cholesterol free oil. So it's a way of marketing a product. None of the vegetarian source of oils will have cholesterol, or rather vegetarian source of food will have cholesterol. So not even the oils. The oils also don't have cholesterol. What these oils have is fats, different types of fats. And the more the fat that you supply to your body, more will be the production of cholesterol in your body by your liver. So it is all based on, the production is going to be all based on the supply. And the supply is what you are going to be consuming. So it's important to understand that. Then comes carbohydrate. Now, if you see within the carbohydrate also, there is a different bifurcation. The total carbohydrate, out of which how much is the fiber, and minus the fiber, what is the sugar? So there are 2 sugars as per the label. Sugar means natural content of sugar in a particular product, and added sugar is the white sugar which is added. right? So most of the time nowadays people think of, yes, correctly said, that you should be consuming no added sugar foods. That is one part of it, but there's another angle of it which I'm going to cover next. So that is one part, and then the protein content. Now here, if you look at the guide in terms of the percentage, you will find any micronutrient which is 5% or less is considered low, and any product having more than 20% of the RDA value, that means it is high. This is also important to understand. Now, when you look at the ingredient list, so most of the time you're looking at that added sugar, and you might feel that, okay, there is no added sugar. But sugar comes in different forms. So there are a lot of other ingredients which is adding to that sugar content with your total carbohydrate content. So it's important to analyze this. So when you're looking at ingredients, you should not look at only sugar. There are other aspects like fructose glucose syrup, purees, concentrated fruit purees, or juice, or rather the other options which are the honey, syrups, molasses, jaggery. So all these are also adding on to sugars. Okay, these are all different types of sugars. So it's important to understand that even if some product has no added sugar, might have jaggery or might have honey or might have any other source of sugar, does not make it sugar free. And in India today, if we look, we are number one in diabetes. Okay, we've become a hub for type 2 diabetes mellitus, and that is also as per the number, we are number one. And we are not 100% diagnosing all our patients, and we are still number one. So we still have a lot of our patients who are still undiagnosed and or are having already pre-diabetes. And one of the major reasons for this in India alone is that we are a population which is eating very high carbohydrates in our diet and very low protein in our diet, and that is what is making us go on to that path of type 2 diabetes mellitus. So when we talk of sugar, it's not only the white sugar that is there in your diet, but the overall carbohydrate content in the diet, where all these carbohydrate sources are going to add on to sugar. So here are some of the cryptic names of sugar which you can find on the food labels, which you need to read minutely, because they are all types of sugar. Whether you call them malt or wheat sugar or brown sugar or caramel, corn syrup, fructose sugar, there's rice syrup, there is maltose, there is maple syrup, there is molasses. So multiple sources. So you need to read that very clearly. Okay. Then another very other important factor which we're talking about is salt. Again, today we are talking about WHO has given recommendation that our salt intake should be below 5 grams. Forget about disease condition. This is for normal individuals, that the salt should be below 5 grams. But you know how much salt are we consuming in our daily diet? If you go by the data or whatever is the data collection that we do, you'll find that our diets are very, very, very rich in salt. We are consuming anywhere between 8 to 10 to 12 grams of salt throughout the day, which is more than double the recommendation what WHO is suggesting. So where is this salt coming from? We say, oh, okay, we will use less salt. Then we'll say, no, let's use pink salt. Then we'll say, no, let's use rock salt. Then let's use Himalayan salts. So this is one myth which you all have to try and understand, that when you talk of salt, all salts are NaCl, sodium chloride. Okay, so no salt will come without the sodium component of it. And most of these salts, whether you're using a white salt, pink salt, black salt, Himalayan salt, rock salt, kosher salt, they are all having sodium chloride, and they are more or less the same. So each, a normal salt has 40% of, sodium content in it. Like for example, 1 gram of salt, 1 gram of normal white salt will have around 400 grams of sodium. So this is very important to understand. Now that is when it comes to salt. But then, okay, we'll control the white salt. Then what, from where are the other salts coming in? So you have to look at ingredients like baking soda, baking powder, monosodium glutamate. I think till here people are aware about that the salt is coming in your diet. Papad khar, a lot of communities who use papad khar, they also use papad khar for adding to your pulses for getting them cooked faster. That is one of the type of an alkaline salt in itself. Sodium benzoate added in a lot of your dressings, syrups, juices as a preservative. Again, it's a sodium component. Sodium ascorbate, which will be in maybe cured meats, or certain vitamin C rich or enhanced, or the ready to drink drinks which are available. Sodium nitrite, sodium nitrate, again, it is going to come into meat. Sodium citrate in a lot of beverages, a lot of processed cheese that comes in. So it's not just salt. It is going to come in different forms. So you can say it has different faces in which it is there. You have to recognize these. Then sodium alginate, it's a thickening agent used in ice cream. Again, who can do away from eating ice creams? Sodium saccharin, which is there in artificial sweeteners. There is trisodium phosphate, sodium phosphate. These are basically emulsifiers or acid regulators, which are going to be used in certain cereals, certain cheese sauces, certain processed meats. Sodium gluconate, which is again a flavor enhancer, instant noodles, soups, potato chips, canned meat, sauces. Again, that's where it is coming from. Sodium diacete, sodium erythorbate, glutamate, lactate, metabisulfate. These are all different types of salts, and it's adding to your overall salt intake in your diet. So it is not just the table salt, or it is not just the salt that you are adding in your food. And tell me, let's be practical. Processed foods is a part of the way of life. With modernization, with people working, whether you're working from home or physically going to work, these processed foods are going to be a part of your life. It's never going to happen that each and everything that you're going to make at home, you are going to rely on food which is coming from the market, coming from the packet. So they are going to be a part and parcel of your lifestyle. So it's very important to be aware about it. It is about making informed choices, because it's not every time possible to avoid. So at least you should be aware about what you are eating. So I think awareness is very important, and this is what we are doing today to make you aware about these products. So how much salt is enough? So you will find on certain foods which are actually salty foods, ideally they're supposed to mention about the salt per serving on the label. So on the label, if the salt is, so the total content is less than zero point 0.3, then it is considered low sodium. If it is anywhere between 0.3 to 1.5 per 100 grams, it is a medium content of, medium content. If it is more than 1.5 grams per serving or per 100 gram, it is high, and more than 180 is very high. So it's important to understand the labels, and with now FSSAI is coming in very strong way in trying to standardize a lot of things or a lot of products in the market. But yes, we have a huge population, we have a huge market of retail, so they are also taking time to come up with these standardization protocols. But yeah, there are things on paper ready, and the execution part is where they are working on. So then, so if I've said that, okay, there are a lot of salt substitutes, or there are a lot of sugar substitutes already there, which you should try and avoid, or cryptic names of sugar, or cryptic names of salts which are there. So what do? Do you stop eating? No, you cannot stop eating. But yes, as per the recommendation, we are supposed to have low salt. So what are we supposed to do? There are natural flavors which you can incorporate in your diet, which can help you to improve the flavors. Like you can add lemon, kokum, amchur, vinegar, certain herbs and spices in your diet to improve your overall flavors in the diet that you are consuming. So these flavor enhancers are absolutely normal, or are they are absolutely natural. So you can very well incorporate it in your diet. And in short, how to boost your immunity. So it is not just a pill that you take and the immunity goes. No, it is a consistent effort that you need to take, maintaining a good hygiene practice while you're cooking food, or in general having good hygienic practices. You can do meditation to calm your mind, take your vitamins and minerals. With age, your requirements also, change. And with age, the appetite also gets affected. Your ability to eat food or your ability to prepare food goes down, or with age, the requirements doesn't go down. So this is one thing very important to understand, and that there are certain nutrients which, maybe because of the cooking practices or the methods of cooking, that you're not getting those nutrients from your diet. So we definitely know that in case of a deficiency, you're going to take supplementation, but there's also something called as a maintenance dose, which is required. So wherever required, please do take your vitamins and mineral supplementation if suggested by the doctors, consuming enough or a right amount of water. So you maintain a good hydrational status. Having fresh fruits, vegetables in your diet, washing them thoroughly. So I think with so much of things that you read about these raw foods and the fertilizers or the pesticides that are used, it's you don't know what you're buying. So it's very important that while you're purchasing fruits or vegetables and you're consuming consuming them in your diet in a raw form, make sure that you clean them with hot water and then use it. In case if you're smoking, please quit smoking, and getting a good sleep. So all these things are very, very important to overall improve your immunity. So in the end, what we are trying to really emphasize here is to ensure food safety for this group. It's very, very essential, promoting health, preventing illness, and supporting a good quality of life. And as we age, there are changes in the immune system, and there's very little that you can do about it. What's in your control is by leading a good lifestyle to keep your, these changes which are happening in your body to the minimum. So your immune system, your digestion, your overall health increases the susceptibility to foodborne illnesses. So making proper food handling and preparation is even more crucial. So key strategies here would be that obviously try and make fresh food at home. Where it's not possible, where you're buying food from the market, important to read label. Like I said, informed decision is very important. It's okay if you're buying something high sodium, but it should not happen that you are not aware that you are buying something which is high sodium. You are very well aware about it. You can always take care of the proportions what you consume. Understanding the food labels and moderation is the key. Whether you are going to take sugar substitutes or you're going to take salt substitutes, safe food handling practices, like I told you. And by combining these practices with a balanced diet, with a nutrient dense diet, and prioritizing your food safety alongside your proper nutrition is very, very essential in this particular age group. Making lifestyle changes, combining with exercise is definitely going to help you to boost your immunity. And with that, I would like to end my presentation so that we can open the forum for question and answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Amazing presentation, but it's also very scary, right?
Mm.
So what does one eat? If, and then of course one can always have homemade stuff, but eating from outside is obviously, a tricky thing, right?
I understand. That's exactly what I said. It's never going to happen that you're not going to eat outside. It's never going to happen that you're not going to buy anything from the market. It is about reading the label and being sure of what you are buying. And suppose if you're buying also something which is, say, very high in sodium, then at least limit the amount. You have to try and balance it out. So these things are very, very important.
The problem that is there is some of the biggest names in the business, in Indian business, very well-known names, multinationals who are operating in various other countries, have products that have a certain formulation elsewhere in the world and a different formulation in India.
Yeah.
And the problem is that not people aren't aware of it, because you are used to having the same thing abroad, and then you say, gosh, we can have the same thing here, but it's not the same.
Yeah, because every country, the norms are different. Their FDA policies are different. In India, it's different. So that is the reason why these changes are there, and which gives the company a leeway to have two different products with the same name but different composition in different countries. So I think that is one aspect for it, and I think that is where a platform like these come into play, where our role comes into play, that we want to educate our people, we want to make them more alert so that they can make informed choices, and they can prevent if they're doing something wrong, they can prevent it. So all of this is, I mean, it's the reality. I mean, I have to show them the reality, and sadly, uh, we are also consuming these things. Not that we are not aware and we are not consuming, but here everything comes down to how healthy you are, right? Like a patient who walks into my room, I never assume it can be someone whom I can visibly see that he's obese. I'll never assume that he's come to me for weight loss. I always ask him, so what is your reason to consult me? And so that is very important, that you yourself have to first understand how where you are lacking and what corrections you need to do, and then take action towards it. So an informed action. मैं तो कुछ भी बोल दूँ, I'll write something beautifully penned down, but he might not be following it because they don't realize the importance of
Can
it.
I
So
ask you a question? You must be having, over your years of experience, so many patients who have come to you for diet control, etc. In a percentage wise, and I know it's an unfair question to ask, but in percentage wise, how many of them actually follow the diets that you've prescribed?
my patients, all of them follow. And they follow up as well. Yes. So I have patients who've been following up with me, say for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or even if they lose touch, they come back after some time. Okay, no, we need to come back on track. So it happens. It happens. Yeah.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions that have come in, but I'm going to restrict the questions first to those which concern the topic today. So one is from, let me just use this. This is by Sunita Verma. Her
Mhm.
question is the use of the microwave safe? I've got another question who's anonymous and who's saying, is the use of the air fryer safe?
Yeah. So use of air fryer is safe. There is no problem in using air fryer. Use of microwave is also safe. There is no problem. Now I'll tell you where the problem is. When we say microwave is something where you're going to use for reheating your food. Okay, not really cooking your food. Okay, it's reheating your food. So this is exactly what I tried to cover in my slide when I said about reheating food.
Right.
So problem is not in reheating in microwave. Problem is you made a certain bhaji, you ate it, and now a lot of it is pending. I mean, is remaining, is a leftover, which you will keep it in the fridge. Now you remove it again the next day because you want to complete it. You will put that entire vessel in the microwave. You are going to heat it, and then you will again have a leftover. You will again keep it in the fridge. You will again double it out the third day,
Right.
again reheat. So the problem is in reheating your food over a period of time again and again. And every time you are going to expose extreme temperatures in your food, there's going to be what you say, a reduction in the nutritional content. At the same time, there is microbial growth which is happening, which is not fit for digestion. And this food can then cause GI upset as well. Okay, it's not really causing any infection. It's just the routine GI upset, and we don't go to a doctor for it, right? For any routine thing, थोड़ा gas हो गया, थोड़ा acidity हो गया, थोड़ा सा discomfort हो गया. We don't rush to a doctor. We go there only when it starts bothering our routine activities. Okay, yeah, now it's time to go, and that's where you will diagnose, or you'll be diagnosed with, say, maybe a IBS issue, or some severe acidity issue, or the doctor will tell you to do a colonoscopy. So it's a buildup of these silly things or these silly mistakes that we do, because of which you will end up getting a GI upset.
We have a question from Saroj, Ms. Saroj, who's asking, is it good to add soda to food?
Okay. Soda again is a type of sodium. So it is, you feel that you're just adding that soda just because so that the cooking process will become fast, but it's adding extra salt. We're talking about salt, what you say, recommendation of less than 5 grams. You know what is less than 5 grams? I'll show you. We have these measuring spoons and sets. So I have these in my inventory. Now, if you look, there is this set which is there. This is my 1 tablespoon, teaspoon, half a teaspoon, and 1/4. And you know how much is 5 grams of salt? This much is 5 grams of salt. It should be less than this for any normal individual. So you have to imagine that. And when we give a sodium restriction, or when I give a salt restriction for my patient having a cardiac problem or my renal problem, I give them 4 grams, 3 grams, 2 grams, which is even half of this. So you have to understand that our normal salt intake, because of these hidden salts, is so high that adding soda to your food is just aggravating your problem. I'll just go back to the previous question of air fryer. Just one thing to add on. It is safe to use an air fryer, but I'll give you an example. There is someone like samosas or something fried. French fries or samosas. You would never have that regularly, right? When you go out, you will have a samosa, or you'll go out, you'll have French fries, and that is it. Now, I have a friend who bought an air fryer, and one day when we were visiting them, they kept telling me, "Oh, we make everything in air fryer. We make samosas in air fryer. We make kachoris in air fryer. We make everything in air fryer." And what is happening, because it is air fried, they are having these foods almost every other day, and then thinking that why is my diet not working, or why is it that when I am not having something fried, that my baseline is not going down. So you have to understand that air fryer is a good cooking option, where you want to cook healthier stuff in even healthier manner, rather than cook the unhealthy stuff in a healthy manner. And if you're doing that, it can happen, but again, you have to take care of the frequency in which you are using that, or using an air fryer to make these options. It cannot be a part of your daily diet.
So this
Yeah.
person who asked the air fryer question has given a supplementary question, saying that I have asked this question because I feel that the air fryer, given the heat that it gives out, will destroy all the nutrition.
Heating is a process which is happening even when you are doing, on the gas. So there's no literature which says so. So we all go by evidence-based practice. So as per the evidence, even cooking, steaming, poaching, or using an air fryer is safe. But again, we're going to like, for example, if you're supposed to cook something, say up to they have a timer on the air fryer, and if you're going to cook it a little longer, obviously it is going to cause drying off all the moisture in the food, which will not be very good to consume. So if you're doing it as per the instructions, there is no problem.
This is a question again by Sunita Verma. What is better, iodized salt or pink rock salt? And I'll ask you another question. I've seen salt, which is very low sodium salt, which is available. So what is the best thing to have?
Regular salt is what you can use. You have to understand one thing: whether you use white salt, whether you use pink salt, whether you use Himalayan salt, whether you use black salt, sodium content is the same amongst all these salts. But the sensitivity is not the same. For example, I'll add, say, a pinch of salt to maybe whatever preparation that I'm making, or maybe half a spoon of salt in my bhaji, and that's enough for saltiness, to get the salty taste. But with pink salt or with rock salt, that sensitivity of salt is less, so you might end up putting more. So if you are using any other form of salt, you still have to control the proportion as per less than 5 grams as recommended by the board. And when there was another question that you asked me along with that
about low sodium salt.
Yeah, so there's something called as a Lona salt. Lona salt, which comes in the market, which is a salt alternative for sodium salts. So basically, a salt has sodium chloride. Lona salt has potassium chloride. So when someone is having a medical condition, maybe a cardiac involvement or a type 2 diabetes or a kidney function, it can backfire. It can make the patient land up into hyperkalemia, in a very serious situation, might just get admitted in the hospital. And then there are certain products or certain types of salts which are normal NaCl, but instead of 40%, will have a 30% of sodium. or a little lesser than the normal sodium content in the normal salt. Those can be used. They are again potassium salts only, but even those needs to be used with caution. So in my practice, what I have come across is that most of the time people use these alternatives, but because they are so they are low in salt sensitivity, they end up eating more. That is not something which is healthy, because in that context you are going to end up eating way more, which is not at all healthy. So that one needs to be careful about.
Um, okay, we have a question from Hina Mehta who asks, frozen lemon juice is it the same nutrition as fresh lemon juice?
Frozen lemon juice. I didn't get this.
Yeah, I
I
don't, but I think the bottled lemon juices that you get in the market.
different. See, you have to understand there are certain foods which are vitamin C rich foods. They actually destroyed whenever you heat them. So when it comes to lemon or anything which is citrus, I would prefer the fresh, what do you say, freshly squeezed lemon juice rather than you squeezing it and then keeping it in the fridge or keeping it out for some time and then using it. I mean, there are few things which are very easily possible. Does not take much time. So please use the freshly, cut your lemon and use it freshly rather than, storing it in the fridge. So you're going to lose all the nutrients. In fact,
We've got so many questions that we will be
yeah,
perhaps running this program for another hour or so, but I've restricted myself to food labels. But tell me something,
hmm.
Ms. Samant, is the problem of food label really very grave as it is being made out to be?
I would say mislabeling or marketing gimmicks which are not correct. So it's all mentioned. On the label, things are mentioned. Ingredients are mentioned, but they are not highlighted. They are promoted as healthy. That is where the problem is. Something which is not healthy should not be promoted that it is healthy. Right? Like we know a samosa can't be healthy. I know a burger can't be healthy. Right? So there are few things that we know, but yes, it's very well sold. We have chains of outlets which are selling burgers, French fries, and we know it's not healthy, and we go and eat. They are not marketing it as healthy food, right? So the same way, I think where the industry needs to take more responsibility is that don't do wrong marketing or false marketing. That is what I would say.
We have a lot of we have senior citizens here who have grandchildren and they have
Yeah,
their birthday parties, etc. So there
yeah.
was somebody who was telling me the other day that he tried to counsel his son that instead of having burgers and fries and all of that, have healthy stuff in the
Mm,
birthday party. And they did that, and the kids just shunned it. So,
yeah.
what do people do about all these things?
Understand, food goes in synchrony with celebration, right? You cannot have celebration without food. And yes, these are the foods that kids like. So you have to understand here, when I used the word moderation, I didn't say that don't have this. Make informed choices and use it in moderation. The same way, I think I have a 10-year-old, and she is very well aware about what is healthy food and what is unhealthy. Okay. But yes, there are days like she knows that Sunday is a junk food day. So I'm allowed to eat junk food only on a Sunday. Weekdays, I am not supposed to eat junk food, right? So this kind of discipline is what is needed rather than telling them that you can never have something, right? So if there are celebrations and they want that kind of food, fine. The problem now is that this kind of diet or these food choices have become a part and parcel of their daily diet. Going out socializing, yes, chalo, we'll go and have, and have we'll go to this food joint and consume so and so thing. So that shouldn't be a part in the daily diet. That is something that we need to focus more, because if you're going to tell them no completely, I don't think so that it is really going to work that way.
Do you think that this awareness levels that are there, from whatever you tell me, and you have a 10-year-old? I do remember as a kid,
Hmm.
there was a school which is not very far from where your hospital is, Jamnabai Nursery.
Ah.
They used to serve milk to the
Hmm.
students. So, do you think the awareness levels, education, should start from the school?
Yes, obviously, it has to. It not just school. It has to start from the house. Let me give you a scenario. There's a child who walks into my room, and the doctor has referred because of childhood obesity and pre-diabetes. A 12-year-old is walking into my room, and he's obviously obese. I can see that, but the problem is not with this child. The problem is I see the mother and the father entering in who are also morbidly obese. That is where the problem is. So it cannot start only at that level. It has to start in the house itself. You have to have good eating habits. You have to have good eating practices, good lifestyle in the family. That is what is important.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a bad cold today.
See that.
And just changing weather, etc. But thank you very much, Ms. Bhakti Samant, for this amazing session that we've had. It's been, I'm sure, an eye opener for many. It's, of course, a question of worry as well for people. But thank you once again. Since this is the last Health Life session that we are having in the calendar year, we don't have a session next Saturday because, people say that when it's celebration time, let's not have discuss health concerns. But one last thing that I would request from you is there a resolution that you think our seniors should have as they enter the new year?
Eating good food or eating healthy food cannot be a resolution. It is the necessity. So I think it's very, very important. Eating healthy, eating fresh, eating local, exercising should be a part and parcel of your life. And that is what is going to make you clinically and metabolically fit. And as far as those numbers are right, you're good to go and enjoy your life. So I think that is what. So resolution should be to remain fit, metabolically active, and free from any disease condition. That should be the resolution. And I think if you have that resolution, rest of the things will fall into place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My resolution is to ensure that I keep my resolution because this is topmost over the years, but I must try to stick to the resolution. Thank you very much, Ms. Bhakti Samant, for being here. Thank you to the Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital to facilitate this. And we will be back. As I mentioned, that we do not have a session next week. That is the 28th December. We will be back once again on Jan 4th in the new year. And there are, of course, our Health Live, our Evergreen Club events that are there through the week. You can download the app and watch them, enjoy them. There's the Seniors Have Talent Season 17 that starts from Jan 15th. There are also a few other events like there's a sponsored session that is happening on December 26th. So go ahead, enjoy the rest of the year, and we will be back again on January 4th at the same time, 5 p.m. You can set the watch by the time with the time we start our Health Life sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.